Hello everyone, welcome back to my series here of Satisfactory that I call How to Satisfactory. This is a tutorial series for the new player or for those who have been away from the game for a while and can't remember what they're doing and just want a quick refresher. Well, then this series is probably for you. I'm going to teach you tips, tricks, and everything you would need to know. Basically an entire walkthrough from planetfall, basically landing on the planet, to building a huge mega factory with any luck anyway. So in the first episode we got set up with everything we need. We've made it all the way through all the first section and we are now ready to go into the milestones and build the space elevator. But before you build the space elevator, there's a few more things we're going to have to do because you want to get set up correctly before you start moving into some of the next levels. There's a few more things we're going to unlock. So if we head over here to the computer here in the hub, you will see we have our first milestone. We're on tier 1 and our milestones are base building, logistics, and field research. So you've got a few different ones in here and everybody likes to choose different things depending on your own play style. A lot of people have said that base building is what they prefer to do last, and you know, in this particular case I think I like that idea. So we are going to save this one for last. Basically by saving this one for last, it's going to give you a chance to build up some concrete so you can actually start building the foundations and stuff, because these require concrete and we want to get a lot of concrete before we get into that. Logistics is probably one of the most important ones because we get the conveyor belt splitters, the mergers, conveyor lifts, and you get productivity display, so that's going to help quite a bit, and we have almost got all the pieces we need for that anyway. And the other one is field research. Field research will give us the MAM. I will go into that in more detail once we get to it. The object scanner, the beacons that you can place down, and that will kind of guide you around using your compass up here to things that you set them down to. Personal storage boxes, so basically a little box over here to the side that we have, we can actually just build those. It will give you an extra hand slot, which actually can come quite in handy, and inventory slots, so extra inventory is always good too. So we could either go into either one of these. I think I want to go for logistics first, but before we start even working on these, I want to address a couple of things here first that we may have made a mistake on in the first episode. So I kind of put these two smelters way over there, and then I put the constructor right there, and it's not quite the most efficient way that we're going to be able to do this. So I am going to delete all of this. So in order to delete something, I'm just going to give a quick refresher in case I didn't actually go over that, and I can't remember if I did or not. But if you just hit F to bring up your tool, you see how that turns orange? If you just hold down your mouse button, it will delete it like that. Just hold the left mouse button and boom, everything is gone. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to delete everything that we've built right here. Everything but the hub. And we are going to kind of redo this a little bit to make this a bit more efficient and a bit more fine-tuned. Give us a bit more space, essentially, is what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and keep that right there because I may end up using that. Now, you'll notice they got these boxes left over here, and you're probably wondering, well, where do these boxes come from? Well, that's because if we take a look at our inventory, you'll see my inventory is completely full. I have way too much stuff. So what this is leftover stuff that we can't no longer use. And in the beginning of the game, most of this stuff is quite handy. We don't really want to get rid of it. But one thing I have got is I went ahead before I started filming this episode, and I went out and grabbed a bunch of grass. So if you guys need to do this, pause the video, go out and get you about 1,000 leaves or so. Just go out right around this area here collecting leaves. Remember to carry your zapper, because you never know what you're going to encounter out there in the wild, and you want to be prepared. But once you have that, go ahead, come back to the video, and what we're going to do is we're going to take, you see we have 500, about 1,007 leaves essentially. Now we could go ahead and put those leaves into this, and that would actually clear up some inventory. Or we can come over here to our crafting bench, and we have something new that we learned last time called biomass. And basically we can take these leaves and we can turn them into biomass. And unfortunately we don't have a free slot right now at the moment, but oh, actually I can teach you this real quick too. So let's go back into our inventory, someplace kind of in the where you have some space here, just kind of next to here. We'll go into our inventory, and if you take one of the objects here, say a portable miner, and just drag it off of your inventory screen, just outside of this, just anywhere else. You'll notice we just kind of left that there. And that sort of works for me because we can come back and pick this up in a minute. So if you need some space and you're kind of nearby your hub, that's not a bad idea. You can probably just drop something and then come back and pick it up later. So anyway, back to these biomass leaves. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start making as many of these as we can. It shouldn't take long to go through all your leaves. And if you have wood, you can go ahead and go through that too. Just basically get as much of the biomass as you can, the leaves and the wood. Okay, now once you have that done, you'll see you have, if you got over 1,000 leaves and you might have enough wood to go another 100 biomass, you should have about 600 biomass right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our storage box real quick. We're going to put in anything else that you may have that you don't want. So put those extra leaves you couldn't use, that extra wood in there. You probably have some ore on you. Go ahead, throw that ore in there. We don't need that. Go ahead and throw that concrete or the limestone in there too. We're not going to need that. Everything else you can kind of keep on you from that point. Just kind of take a look at your inventory and put anything in here you may not need right now at the moment. And then we're going to head back over here. Let's go ahead and grab these portable miners. Pick those back up. We are going to need those in a minute. If you head back over these boxes, you'll notice now you can pick these back up. Alright. Do a little cleanup duty there. Okay. Now we have those in our pockets. And I'm just going to go ahead and over here. And I'm probably going to get rid of this miner too. Now you're probably wondering, well, we just built all this in the last episode. I don't understand why are we deleting it. Well, like I said, we're just going to try to make this a little bit more efficient because this was more or less just my mistake. If you placed them exactly the same place I did, you're probably, going to want to do this too. But maybe you were smarter than I was to begin with and you placed them in a better spot. Anyway, what I'm thinking I'm going to do here is let's go into our, not our inventory. Let's go into our build menu. So go ahead and hit Q to bring up our build menu. Now, I already kind of have an idea of what we are going to need. Let's go into production, and we're going to need constructors, smelters, miners. So I want to get 2 miners. I want to build those. We want to build some smelters, and we want to build some constructors, all of these. But how will we know exactly how much material we're going to need for this? Well, if you highlight one of these things, such as, let's look at the miner right here. You'll see it has a little plus sign right there. If you click that plus sign, you'll notice on the right hand side over there, you will see it says a to-do list. Now that's going to tell you everything you need to build that miner. Now what I want to do is I want to build 2 miners for 2 iron nodes. So that's, I'll click it again. Now we're building 2 of those. I want to build 1 for the concrete. That's another one. And 1 for the copper. That's a total of 4 miners. So we click a plus sign for every one that we need. And it will tell us exactly how much material we're going to need for all that. Now for the smelters, I want to build, let's see, about 3 smelters, 2 for the iron and 1 for our copper. And if you remember, we don't need a smelter for the limestone because that actually just gets made anyway. Now we're going to build, let's see, we're going to hit the plus sign here next to constructor for, let's, doing the math in my head real quick, 1 for each smelter. Actually, just 1 for each miner, pretty much. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so get all of those. And now you will see on the right-hand side, it will tell you everything that you are wanting to build. And you have an entire list over here. So if we go through our list, it looks like we are going to need another portable miner because we only have 3, and we're going to need 4 to build all this. I also went ahead and made a bunch of iron plates, concrete, iron rods, things like that. Because I had a bunch of extra iron ore on me, and before I started filming this, I went ahead and just turned it into ingots and just made some extra stuff. You may actually have to go in here and make some of this stuff on your own, but yeah, if you do, just go ahead and make it. Now you'll notice we're also going to need some more reinforced plates right there. I don't have enough of those, and cable. So yeah, you can kind of just scroll down this list and it will tell you everything you need here. So let's go ahead and build another portable miner and some more reinforced plates. We'll go with the reinforced plates first. So if we hop over here into our crafting bench and we go to reinforced plates, you'll notice it won't let me build anymore. That's because we don't have enough screws. So we'll just build some more screws here. Just create those by hand until we can get enough. Now, looks like for me, I need 8. You should also need 8 of these. And I only have 5 currently on me. Not sure how many you have, but let's see. For me, that's going to be about 3. 5 to 6, 6. Yeah, so I need about 3 more reinforced plates. So I'm just going to go ahead and build around 3 or 4 of these things. There we go. All right, and I'm also going to need portable miners. So we don't have enough of those. I only have 4. So if we drop back over here to our equipment bench, wherever you put the workshop, you want to go over to the workshop and make at least 1 more portable miner. All right, now we got the portable miner. We have everything in our list should have a check mark in it, and that means we have everything we need to build what we need. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to plop down. Actually, you know what? I didn't need another portable miner because I have these guys here. I could have just picked one of these up and we would have had it. All right, so now my inventory is full yet again. So let's just head over here real quick to our storage box and see if there's anything else we can drop. We do have some more iron ore we can just throw in there. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take this biomass. And let's take a stack of each and throw it in here. So let's do that for fuel. And that for fuel. There we go. That will open up a couple of slots for us. Alright, so once you've got a few more empty slots in your inventory, just come over here, pick up both of your miners over here. And whatever limestone you can get laying over there. And what we're going to do now real quick is I'm going to throw down one of our miners. So let's go into production. Let's take a miner. And this one, I'm just going to put this kind of facing us. Will probably be good right there. Okay. Now I'm going to go over here to our iron nodes. And these two I'm going to do facing this direction. And that one should also be facing the same direction. Just put it right there on top of that node. There we go. And we're going to need one up on the copper too. But I'm not going to deal with the copper just yet. I'm only going to get these two going right now. And with those 2 miners placed and the miner over here for that, here's what we're going to do. Next thing, we're going to go into our build menu. I'm going to grab a constructor and I'm going to put it right in front of the miner right here. Now, make sure you always watch what way your constructor is facing here. So you'll notice it has arrows on each side. I don't know if I went over this in the last episode or not, but we will this time. So, self-explanatory. Obviously, your arrows need to be pointing, like that's the input in the machine, and the other one's the output because it shows it going out. So we're just going to go right over here in front of the machine. And if you hold down control, it should line it up right to that. That seems good to me. That's a good spot right there. And if you put it so far away, we should be able to just hit that and build a conveyor belt right down to it. And it should be straight if you held down control and you got everything right. Then that should be right into that. Alright. Now we don't have anything coming down there just yet, and there's a reason for that. That's because we need to delete this power pole right here real quick. I was afraid I would need to do that, but that's okay. That's perfectly okay. We'll just hit 1 on our keyboard here to get that. And I'm actually going to place this right about here. Then we'll hit 2 to get the power line. We'll connect those 2 power lines up right there. And then I'm going to connect this to that. And to there. Alright, and since we have 2 miners over there, what we'll do is just hit 2. And we'll connect this last line over here. And I want to put a power pole kind of right in between over here. Actually, no, not just yet. What I want to do is I'm going to put 2 constructors like right in here. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a power line probably right here. It doesn't have to be exact. And then I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to put a power pole right between these 2 guys. And then up to that. Now, one thing you may notice here is I'm not actually building the power pole itself. If you have the power line and you start a connection on something, say like that power pole there, you'll notice I can put a power pole anywhere I want here. Or I can just connect it to something like that. Alright, now our miners are starting up. They're going to be drilling the iron. They're going to be drilling the concrete over there. One thing I forgot to do real quick was, let me get out of that. I forgot to tell our constructor here what to make. So we'll come over here to constructor, we'll hit E, and I'm going to tell it make concrete, right? And go ahead and, if you have concrete on you, just go ahead and throw that concrete into that, or not the concrete, but the limestone. Throw the limestone into there so it can get a head start right now. You probably already have some ore on you as well. Hold on to that, because what we're getting ready to do next is hit Q, and we're going to come to constructors, and I'm going to build 3 constructors in a row here. We're going to build, I'm going to kind of face them this way, and I'm going to do 1, and then we're going to come down here, and I was hoping to kind of line these up here. If we come over here to the side, I should be able to do that. Yeah, there we go. 2, and then come over this way a little bit, and I think what we'll do is just build 1 right over here. These are just going to be temporary, and if they're going to be temporary, you're probably wondering, well, why did we just delete them in the first place? Well, that's because we wanted room to grow real quick here, and we didn't, the way I had it last time, I didn't have enough room to actually grow these. So now, power line again, using your hotkeys, and we're connected that to that. And you know what? I'm going to need another power pole right here, so I'm just going to throw one right there, and then I'll connect that to that, and that to that. Always remember, you can only have 4 lines off your power post. So as you can see, this one's full. I got the one coming in, plus 2, 1, 2, over to that one. And then I didn't have enough to, I had enough to either run it to there, but not to that one. So I thought, you know what, let's use one to come off of that, over to a power pole over here, and then we can connect that to those. And that's why I did it that way. Alright, next, now that we have our miners are working, we're getting concrete, so just let that kind of start working there. And we have one over there for the copper, which we will get to in a minute, but let's get these iron nodes kind of working here. So we are going to build some smelters here right behind these constructors, because we have to smelt the iron before it can be constructed into anything. Now we're going to hit Q to bring up our menu, and then choose smelters, and then hold control down, and you should get the yellow line there to line these up right there. There we go. Alright, and then come on over here to the next one. Now, if you can, you should be able to even line these up together, straight in the line, right next to each other here too. Now, there we go. Yeah, see, I like that. Hit 3, connect your conveyor belts from the smelter into the constructor. Do the same thing down here. Alright, and then just connect that into that. Bring this one over here. I'm going to just push this one out just a little bit like that, and then build it this way. And then just connect that up. Alright, now your iron ore should be coming in. So, there we go. And let's see, we want to make iron ingots here. If you have extra ore, go ahead and throw that ore in there to go ahead and get started. And then come over here, same thing. Tell it iron ingots. Throw any extra ore you have in there. And we're going to need power to these two as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put a power pole like right there. I'm going to delete the power line here. And I'm going to say, let's put one into that. There we go. And 1, 2. And since we can't come off of this one anymore, we're going to come off of this one here. And I'm just going to come over here and just put a power pole right there. Means we don't need this one anymore, so we'll delete that. And we'll put one there. And we're going to need a smelter back here as well. So, yeah, we might as well just go that. So if we hit F key, you remember this tip from the first video, highlight that and just click in on your middle mouse button, your scroll wheel. Now you can make a copy of whatever you had highlighted. Come over here to this one. Come up right behind it, line it up by control, and place that down. And we can even connect the cable to that there, and now we have power going to that. Now we probably are using quite a bit of power, but I think we're going to be alright. So make sure your recipes are selected in your constructors. That one's good. This one over here, I want to make iron rods in this one. So that way we can kind of get going with those. Now we're making iron rods. Now we're making iron plates. We are making concrete over here. And the next thing we're going to need, which is going to be our copper, which is going to be up on the hill there. So let's head over to that. Alright, now that we're up on here where our copper is, or if you're playing on a different area of the map, then wherever your copper is, go ahead, pick up these 2 miners. There we go. And we are going to hit Q. We're going to put a miner down on this one. And I'm going to have this miner kind of going... We know we got to get it down to that, right? So we'll just do there. Alright, and then we are going to run a conveyor belt out of that, which shouldn't be too hard. I can probably run it down. We'll probably just come through those bushes right there, and then we'll come down to here. And then I think I should be able to get that down to the land there. Yeah, that'll work. Let's actually push that out as far as we possibly can. There we go. Jump down here. That wasn't too high, so we didn't take any fall damage. Which, by the way, I do want to say this. This is a tip that I was reminded about, and I forgot to tell you guys. If you are at full health, it doesn't matter how high the jump is. When you land, you will still survive if you are at completely full health. I, however, right now at this moment am not at full health. I am missing 1 chunk if you look down there on the left-hand side on the bottom. So if I was to fall from a tall height, I would die. If you fall from a really tall height and you have full health, it will pretty much take every bit of your health away and you won't have anything left. But it won't kill you at least. Just remember, you have to be at completely full health before making a jump like that. This was something I was not aware of until one of my viewers on one of my other YouTube things had actually mentioned that to me. So I want to give a huge shout out to that, and I'm pretty sure it was I think it was Mercs who was telling me this, and I didn't know that, so I think it's a useful tip for all the new players out there. Alright, so the only thing left up there is we just need to get some power up to that. So I'll go ahead and place this up on this hill right here. I'm essentially just going to follow the conveyor belt right here. That's the way I like to do it. You can do this however you want, though. We will straighten all this up at a later date once we kind of get going with our starter factory. Alright, connect that up to there. Alright, and since I already have some copper ore, I'm just going to go ahead and throw that copper ore in there, so it's going to get started running down the belt automatically there. And what we could do here is I'm actually going to jump on the belt, and I'm just going to ride the belt down to here. We're going to come down to here. I'm going to tell it, make me some copper ingots. We still have some more copper ore, so I'll throw that copper ore in there to get us going. Come down here, and we can make wire. So let's go ahead and make that wire. And now we got everything we have going here. Alright, so let's come over here to our hub, to our biomass burners on the back. If we click E on this, we can easily see, you can take a look at this graph, and it's going to show us what our things are. So if you notice the top one there in the yellow, that's consumption. So we are currently consuming, it's fluctuating around 31.3, looks like is the maximum we're producing, or using anyway. We have a capacity of 40, so we can produce up to 40 megawatts. It looks like 31.3 is the maximum, and that's probably when all the machines are working. Now the reason this is fluctuating is because at any given time, only a certain number of these things are doing something, which means they're drawing power. So only do we hit the max when every single one of these just happens to be doing something at the same time, and that's why you'll see that fluctuation. So the production there, and then you see maximum consumption. So it looks like if everything that we have was working at the exact same time, it would be 44 megawatts. And what would happen at that point, since we can only produce 40, if we was to hit that, then our power would kick off, and then you got to come over here and reset the breaker, which is going to be a problem because everything would want to work again, it would draw way too much power again and keep kicking a breaker, and you would have to make another biomass burner, which you can do now. If you go into your build menu, go to power, you'll see you have a biomass burner. So you can actually put these down and connect these as you wish. Alright, so anyway, as of now, everything should be working. Everything should be producing. Now I just want to throw some storage containers down here. So if we go down here to organization in our build menu, you'll see we have storage containers. Now I'm going to put one of these on each of these machines here. So we'll just turn that. Make sure you have the yellow side. If we turn it sideways, you can see it here. So you see the yellow in the back, that means input, and the blue in the front is for output. So I'm just going to connect that so that the input of the conveyor belt goes from that into that. And I'm just going to do this pretty much on all of these here. And once your storage containers are in, just go ahead and connect conveyor belts to that, and that will output the material. See, like this one here is making our concrete. It's just going to output all that concrete into there. What this is going to do is it's going to keep our machines from getting full and not working. And we don't want them to not be working. We want them to constantly be making something instead of getting bogged down. Like this one is here. See, this one is not working because it has no power. Obviously, I forgot to connect power to this. Alright, I kind of solved this my own way, but I will let you guys kind of work with that and let that be your own puzzle to solve on how you're going to run your power lines and everything. I did it basically by running another pole right here, connecting it to the pole coming off of that, so there to there, to run these two, and then that freed up this line here, and I could just run straight into that. So, that one pole right here runs all four of these machines, and this one just brings one in down through here, so we can run all of this stuff down here. Alright, go ahead and just finish connecting up your conveyor belts here. There we go. And now everything should be producing, and now it's just a waiting game. So, while all that's producing, let's go back over to the hub now. And now what we're going to do is we're going to choose what our next milestone is going to be. So, like I said, base building, personally, I would save this one for last, but it's completely up to you. I am torn between logistics and field research. Field research is going to give us that extra hand slot and extra inventory. Logistics will also give us the conveyors, splitters, and mergers. I think field research is probably the first one I'm going to go with here because that's going to open up the MAM, the object scanner beacons. We're going to get inventory slots and hand slots. Inventory slots right now being the most important. You want to carry as much as you possibly can. So go ahead and select that milestone or whichever one you want to choose. And we're going to work towards that. So now we're going to need all of these things right here. We're going to need 300 cable or wire, not cable, but wire. We're going to need 300 screws, and we're going to need 100 of the iron plates. So I'm going to go ahead and throw everything that I have down into this currently. That's all my iron plates, screws, and wire. And then I'm going to come over here, and I should have enough of the iron plates to finish this off right now. Yeah, we got like 77 of those already. So I'll grab those. And then I'm going to come over here to the wire. And we don't have any wire. And why don't we have any wire? Something isn't working. Oh, I forgot a conveyor belt. Problem solving. See, that's a valuable teaching moment right there. So you got to make sure you connect everything. And there went our power. I knew that was going to happen as soon as everything started working. If we come over here, now what we're going to need to do is build a biomass burner. So if we go into power, we go to biomass burner. Uh-oh, I'm missing wire. Well, luckily I just have some copper on me, so I'm just going to go ahead and make our wire by hand real quick here. And now that I have all the things I need to make this, just going to place this down. Again, you can place this wherever you want. Just kind of make it a little bit out of the way. I think that's going to do it. And again, we'll clean all this up in probably the next episode. So even though we've just placed all of this down, in the next episode, we'll probably start on how to do the foundations and how to do a great starter factory. So now we're just going to connect that to... uh-oh, I can't do that. So now we've run out of wires. That's a problem. So what I'll do is I'll just disconnect this wire here. And I got to problem solve these wires real quick. I definitely know for a fact I want that to go into that, which runs this over to this. Now, how many do we have coming off of that? We have 4 coming off of that. One of these goes over to this and that. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to delete the 2 wires connecting these 2 things right here. I'm going to put a power pole right there. And I will just have that go to that. That connects to that. And that. That should free us up one more slot to run over to this. There we go. Alright. Now your biomass burners should be connected. We just need to add some fuel into it. Luckily, we have another thing of biomass here. We do that. We click our circuit breaker back on. Now we're producing again. And you'll notice our capacity now is 70. So we have enough room to use 70 megawatts of power. Right now, with what all we have, that's plenty enough. Just remember, keep feeding these things. If we look at these right now, you'll notice I'm already down to 127 in this one. And 126 on this one. So these 2 are going to run out before that one over there does. So you got to keep feeding these things the biomass. Now at this point, you just have to wait for everything to get made. We are going to need more screws. We're going to need more copper wire right now at the moment. Copper wire is going to take a little bit. What we could do is, if you have the materials, you could also just substitute by going over here and making it on your own, since you're doing nothing but waiting right now. Or you could go gather more material and you could make more biomass. So completely up to you on how you want to do it and spend your time in between making these things. I personally have tons of ingots. I'm going to go ahead and make all the wire that I can. Also, remember, you can just hit the spacebar. Just tap the spacebar or hold shift and tap the spacebar. And you can automatically start working here without having to hold the craft button down. And then you can go grab a snack or whatever while these are doing this. Also, remember, we are going to need about 300 screws. And screws are made from iron rods. So, there's a couple things you could do here. You could come over here. You could put another constructor in front of this, or actually just replace this with a constructor. You could have the iron rods being made. Oh, I think I have iron rods being made over here. You could take these iron rods right here, and you could take these, and instead of having the storage machine here, you could place another constructor here, have the iron rods feed into a second constructor, which turns them into screws. Or you could just come over here, take the iron rods you're already making, like I just did, bring them over here, and turn these into screws yourself. So that is also a thing you could do. Now, once you have gathered all the material you are going to need, then just come over here to the hub, and we're going to hold down control, click on each of the things that we're going to need. So I can just throw that in there and finish off the iron plates. You will notice the big red button right here. Once you do this, go ahead and push the red button, and that, if we head out here, is going to send up this little shuttle full of the things we just made and collected. And that is going to send that up to our robot overlords, who are then giving us access to new things. Alright, so now let's take a look at what we earned by that milestone. If we hit tab, you will now see we have 2 hand slots. So the Xeno Zapper is in one hand, and we can throw, oh, I don't know, barrel nuts in the other. So there we go. And then now we can just use our scroll wheel on our mouse, and we can go back and forth between those 2 things right there. Pretty snazzy, huh? Alright, going back into our inventory, you'll notice we have a little bit more inventory space as well to hold more stuff. That's always good. And next, go into our build menu next. So in our build menu, let's take a look at what we have here. Under special, you will see we have actually 2 new things, because I haven't talked about the space elevator yet, but that's okay. Let's not worry about the space elevator just yet. We do have the MAM though, so this is something we're going to want to place down kind of soon. And then down here under organization, you have the personal storage box. So as you can see, this is basically that little box, like I said, right there. So you can put these anywhere you want. So if you need a little bit more storage for yourself, you can totally put these down somewhere. For now though, let's go back up here to special, and let's talk about the MAM. So again, I'm going to hit the plus button right there next to it to put a to-do list over here on the right hand side. Now I'm going to need, looks like another reinforced plate and some cable, and I have plenty of wires, so I don't have to worry about that. So let's go over here, and we're just going to make the reinforced plate we're going to need real quick. There we go. And the cable. There we go. Now we have everything we need, and once you also have what you need, let's go anywhere you want to place this. I'm going to put mine right here. Feel free to do so as well if you wish. And we will just kind of turn this to the side right here. And then once it's in the blue, I will just go ahead and construct that. And there we have the MAM. So what is the MAM for? Well, let's take a look at this real quick. It's a big computer system with what looks like a giant 3D printer in it, which is actually some sort of scanning thing, I think. Anyway, if we go in here, you'll notice you have a couple things in here. You have alien organisms, you have nutrients. So if we come up here, let's say alien carapaces is shown up here and alien organs, none of which we actually have in our hand. If we go up to nutrients though, you'll see pellberries. Well, look, we have some pellberries. So what we can do is click on the pellberry and we'll click Start Research. Now this one in particular only takes about 3 seconds. And once you scan that, you will lose whatever pellberries it says there at the top, but you'll gain something new. You'll gain this nutritional mixture. So we can't actually make any of these things right now because this is requiring steel pipes and looks like stators, which we can't actually make yet. So none of that's going to be an option for us right now. Now your other two things here are the barrel nuts and this little guy right here, the bacon agaric. In Satisfactory, bacon grows on plants. Yes, you heard me right. And it is delicious and very handy. It is the one plant that grows that gives you the most health regeneration when you eat it. They are kind of scarce though, so I think I saw some earlier around here, but I don't remember where. But I believe there is a bacon thing somewhere around here. Anyway, back up here to this. So now if we come over to barrel nuts, now you're thinking, well, wait, I have barrel nuts. Why can't I do this? Why is it saying I can't do it? It says can't afford. Well, that's because they're in your hand. And according to this game, we have to go into our inventory. We have to take the barrel nuts out of our hand, put them into our inventory, then go in here, back to nutrients, then click on it. Now you see we can start research. All right, the only thing left there is the bacon agaric. So once we get all 3 of those, actually, I'm pretty sure we can just go ahead and do this now if we had the material. But we still have these alien organisms up here. So we need to do these 2 things, alien organs and alien carapaces. I don't think we have any organs yet because I haven't fought that particular creature. But we do have some carapaces. So I'm going to go over here. Let's grab our carapaces over here, put them in our inventory. Come over here and go back up here to alien organisms. Carapace, start research. And in just a couple of seconds, that is done. All right, and what that does is now we have structural analysis of biomass done. So if we have some more carapaces, what we could do is we could finish this off. And once this is researched, we'll be able to make biomass out of the alien stuff that we collect from killing the creatures that try to kill us. So they become useful at that point for things. I don't have enough to finish that off though, but anyway, you can take a look around in here and there's lots of things that we can do once we get to a certain point. You'll see this here. This is like unknown metal. So we haven't learned any of this yet. We haven't learned any of this fungus-like vegetation. Unknown crystal, strange things. So if you are starting in the same area I am, you may have noticed at some point this strange purple rock over here. This is raw quartz. Let's go ahead and grab some of this raw quartz real quick. Now in your inventory, you notice you have some raw quartz, the same as when we do the ore and the copper and everything else. So if we come over here, oh look, quartz is now unlocked in our MAM. So the MAM is actually short for a molecular analysis machine, but everybody just calls it the MAM. So under quartz here, if we had enough, which we do, we could actually go ahead, start research on that. And a few seconds later, we just unlocked the ability to make quartz crystals.
Added to the resource
well, not
scan.
yet. We actually have to learn this. We need more quartz for that. Or silica, so we could do that. And these other things, as you explore the world, you may find some of these other things right here, which are going to be handy for learning things. So that's just going to basically, this is going to get us access to a lot of cool things a little later on. Not so much right now. So now that we've got the MAM out of the way, we've got an extra hand slot. Oh, speaking of which, put my nuts back in my hand. There we go. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and go for logistics. So going to select that milestone. And now we just need to finish this off. So we need 300 copper wire, 150 plates, and 150 rods. Let's see how much of these we have collected so far. Well, we've got the rods because we have 200 of those. And, oh, looks like we have that as well. And do we have the wire? We have the wire. We have everything we need. So we can just head right back over here. Now you see why I tried to make this a little bit more organized, get everything into production, and why we kind of redid a little bit of what we done in the first episode. This is much better. We're getting things done a lot faster, and we're off to a good start now. So now we can just come over here and drop those in, and boom, logistics. All right, now with logistics learned, all we can do now is at this point we can go into the queue menu, and we've learned some new things. If you go down here to the logistics section, you'll see conveyor lifts. So those are if we want to have something to say, like, see how the storage box has an output? I can also do this with anything else that has anything like that. But I can just put that onto there, and things will come out of this box and move upwards instead of forwards on a conveyor belt. So it lets me, I could stack boxes, for example, or I can have, like I have that over there coming down. We could easily just go over there and redo this and have a vertical conveyor belt coming down instead of having that kind of angled down like that. Lots of things we could do with that, but that's not the most important thing that we needed this for. The mergers and the splitters, these right here, are going to be excellent right now for what we're going to need. So let's go over here to our mine thing here. So we are currently producing 30 of these per minute. And you'll notice this is getting backed up. If we click on the recipe here, 15 a minute to make these. So we're actually producing more than what this thing is needing. What we could do is we could make another constructor here. We could use one of our splitters and then kind of split that up, and then we'll have two of these things. So actually I'm going to do that right now if I can. So we're just going to make a copy of that. And I can't actually make this because we don't have reinforced plates or cable. So again, we'll go make that real quick. All right, and then now that you have the material, let's go ahead and put another constructor right next to this. And now I'm going to delete this conveyor belt right here. And we're going to go into our build menu. And I'm going to go down to a splitter. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to put this splitter kind of right here in front of that machine right there. Making sure to line that up. We'll put a conveyor belt into that. We'll run a conveyor belt into that. And now we can run a conveyor belt from that splitter over to that. Alright, so now, since our smelter is making 30 ingots per minute, it's going to split those 30 into 15 and 15. So, since this requires 15 to make iron rods, this one over here requires, if we do that again, we need another 15. So we're dividing our ingots up to we're doubling our output of iron rods now. Now all we have to do, let's go ahead and take this out right here. And let's go into our build menu. And let's go down to the merger. So now I'm going to go up here to this. We're going to put that right there, seems good. Now I'm going to build a conveyor line into that. A conveyor line into that. And a conveyor line that's going to come out of this into that. Again, I'm not worried about how it's going to look right now. We're going to fix this up in the next episode. There we go. Alright, so now we should be... Oh, we don't have power yet, but I can fix that. I'm just going to throw another power line right down there. I'm going to delete that power line there. We're going to run one from there to there, over to that line. So we got to make sure, always put that back because that's power to our miners. We don't want those guys stopping. And then I can run that from there. Alright, so now we're making rods. And these rods will merge into this box with that one and put all of our things into that. We could even go one step further with this. We could have all of our stuff going into one box if we wanted. That's a possibility. Now you're probably thinking, if this one can be split to make two things of iron rods, two different machines making iron rods, we'd probably do the same exact thing over here with this, right? No, not necessarily, because as you remember, this only makes 30 ingots per minute. This guy over here is taking 30 per minute. So it's actually taking just as much as this is actually putting out just to make these. So it is 100% efficient right now. And if we split that in two, then you would be halving your efficiency. So that's not a good thing. Something else you can also look at is your miners over here as well. So let's take a look at our miner. This miner right here is outputting 30 limestone per minute. Well, let's take a look at this. This needs 45 per minute. So this is what I'm talking about with efficiency. Let's take a look at this, for example. We have this machine to make concrete needs 45 limestone per minute, but we're only outputting 30 per minute. So this one is actually not getting enough. And you'll notice this right here in the middle, it says it's at 67 to 66% efficiency. So this thing is not running at its most efficient. And this is mostly because since this is a impure node, we're not getting the maximum limestone out of this node. But if we come over here to, say, the iron node, which is a normal node, and we come in here and look at it, you'll notice we're getting 60 iron per minute. So this is going back into the first episode when I was talking about the differences in nodes. Impure nodes is going to give you half as much as a normal node, and pure will give you twice as much. If I think it's twice as much anyway. Pure is obviously the better one, so if you can, use pure. We don't have any pure in this area, so we can't do that. But wait, if we're producing 60 per minute, let's look at our smelter here. Our smelter only requires 30 per minute. Why, we could easily split these two lines, since both of these are normal nodes, and send these into two different smelters. We could make a second one of these. I could come down here, for example, make another smelter next to this one, and then we could split this line. We could be making twice as many ingots, and then we can make another one of these to make twice as many iron plates. We could also probably do that with the copper over here too, since the copper is actually taking 15 per minute to make 30 per minute of wire. So yeah, we could actually do that right now with this thing right here, for example. And since I have a little bit of space over here on this side, I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this real quick and put it right next to this. There we go. And now, instead of deleting this line, let's hit Q. Let's go to the splitter. I can actually, and this doesn't always work and sometimes causes a problem, but I think there's just enough space in there. Hopefully you did it better than I did and gave it a little bit more space. But we should be able to get that if we just hold it kind of right on to where the line is, and just kind of highlight the line a little bit. If we do that, I believe we might actually be able to get a conveyor belt into that. Yes, there we go. Now we have more copper coming out of this. Dividing that copper line, since we only need 15, we can come over here to this, tell it we need to make more wire. Do the same thing we did on the other. We're going to make a merger line over here now. So we come down here to merger, put that, just kind of make sure you're got that highlighted, and it should move smoothly along that line. There we go. And then bring that into that. The only thing missing now is power. I'm actually just going to bring this power line down from up there because that's going to be easy. There we go. Alright, cool. Now we're making twice as much copper wire. Copper wire is going to be something we are probably going to need a lot of right in the beginning. As well, I mean, honestly, we're going to need like all of these things, really, if I'm being honest with myself. So, that is probably going to do it for this episode. We have everything we need. But wait, there's one more thing left over here. And that is going to be base building. So let's go ahead and select this milestone. Uh-oh, we need 200 concrete. Let's see how much concrete we have now. Come over here to our storage container. Wow, we have 505. Let's grab a stack of that. bring it over here. Come over here to the terminal, and if you have everything you need, we can just go ahead and plop all of these in there. Like so. Push the big red button. Launch that guy into space with our shipment to our alien overlords. And now, if you go into your construction, you'll notice you have foundations and even walls now that we can build with. We're going to get into all of this in the next episode because I'm going to show you, we're going to basically get rid of everything that we just built. And we're going to make this even more efficient using foundations. So stay tuned for the next episode. I hope you guys are enjoying this tutorial series. Hope this is helping you and you're learning some new tricks and stuff that maybe you didn't know before. In the meantime, I will see you in the next video, wherever you guys are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.